In this week's episode, we are taking a journey into the realm of crystal consciousness with my dear friend Chuck Coates. So stay tuned for the episode ahead.
Hello, sweet angels, and welcome back to Awaken the Word, a journey into Christ consciousness. I'm Amanda, your intuitive BFF and fave spiritual girly, and today I am so excited and feel so grateful to have with me my dear friend and crystal wizard, Chuck Coates.
Hello.
So, Chuck and I met 2 years ago in this realm. And he brought me into the realm of crystals. And I wanted to have him on today because what Chuck does with the crystals and how he has taught me to understand how the crystals speak to us and how we can use crystals to come to understand ourselves more and get out of our head and into our heart has been really impactful along my spiritual journey. And I feel so blessed to have him in my life as a mentor, as a pseudo dad, and BFF.
Fun.
So I just want to kind of get to know Chuck a little bit more, or have you guys get to know Chuck a little bit more. So, Chuck,
Yes.
do you want to talk about maybe your journey a little bit with just your background and maybe how you got into crystals or how crystals came to you?
That is a good question because I've been involved with crystals pretty much all my life. But at the same token, you drift away.
Yeah.
You got other things that are going on with you. And when you drift away, life gets in the way. So you've always got that stuff in the back of your mind. But then after my wife passed back in 2010, things shifted for me big time. And when that happened, crystals started coming back in. I always had this thing with crystals, but then I ended up by traveling for about 10 years off and on the road, living in with my pickup, going from place to place. And I would say probably about 5, maybe 6 years ago was when I started really buying more crystals and that sort of thing. When I landed here, I guess it'd be even longer than that, 2012.
Wow.
So it's kind of what's in the book. So everything's going to be in the book too.
Yeah.
Anyway, I started giving crystals away when I would go up to Boynton Canyon, just go up there, watch the sunrise, sun gaze a little bit, come back down to pick up, have some coffee. And that was when I had a whole bunch of different rose quartz and that sort of thing, other crystals. And people would come by, we would visit, and the next thing I know, I'm giving them crystals.
So, just to let the viewers know, Boynton Canyon is in Sedona. If you haven't visited Sedona, definitely check it out. So, did the crystals start like speaking to you and then that's when you decided to start giving them away, or how did that kind of come about?
It was interesting because I would just be in mid-sentence and all of a sudden I would feel something. So I would go into what I call my arsenal and I'd pull them out and just felt like that was a stone that needed to go with them. And 9 times out of 10, I would get a lot of emotions, that sort of thing out of them, out of the people. And so I can't place it. I don't know quite how it happened or what. I just know that I was following where I was led and I would just go in and that's how it worked out. So I don't know. I still to this day I'm not sure what am I doing with these crystals, but evidently you stay open in your heart, you follow your heart, you listen to what you're saying, and boom, it happens.
So that's the biggest thing that you've taught me too is how to stay in my heart. And I feel like with the rose quartz, especially when you came to visit me in Pennsylvania.
Yeah. Well, in the rose quartz, rose quartz works with personal love because here's the bottom line is we need to keep our personal love. We have to love ourselves before we can love anybody else. Before we can do anything that we want to do, you've got to take that time to have that personal love. And it's layers. We're going to continually keep pulling that love out the deeper it goes, and there's different stones that are going to pull more. Different layers. You start off very, very lightly, and then all of a sudden the emotions start coming out. I always say when the emotions are coming out, you're leveling up. And as you're leveling up, you're moving forward on your ascension. Doesn't matter where we're at, it's just where you need to be at in yourself.
Yeah. Like, and how do crystals like work with you on your spiritual journey? So for like maybe like people that are listening, that are just like trying to get into crystals or feel called to crystals, like how would they begin to work with them?
Well, I always have them let them jump out at you. This is kind of the way to put it.
Yeah.
You have to go into your heart. Me working at a crystal store, a lot of times the cards, people like to see what the cards say. Um, that's changed so much that the cards don't mean anything anymore. It's more like you just walk through a crystal store, or you're outside, you're on a hike, and you're always staring down, looking at the ground. You're picking something up, pick it up, feel it, hold it to your heart. It's going to let you know whether you need it or not. And you just have to be open to that.
Yeah.
And when you're ready, you're ready. And when you're not, you know, oh, that's just a rock. Well, that's fine. Just wherever you're at.
Yeah, because I definitely feel like, I mean, even speaking from my own personal experience too, like when I first started with crystals, I was really hesitant to like almost open up and receive.
Right. Yeah. And that's a big thing. So you don't want to push it. You just, it's like with me. I had no idea what was going on. I didn't even think about it. But the next thing I knew was everything was coming along and floating through. And I said, okay, let's just go with it. Just follow with your heart. And that's what you need to do with life itself anyway.
Follow with your heart.
Yeah, exactly. You stay in your heart. Your heart's never going to fail you.
Yeah. So from your perspective,
Okay.
um, how can we tell when we're in our heart and when we're in our mind?
I always feel like if it's a gut feeling,
Mm-hmm.
it's also through your heart. When you start thinking about it, sometimes what happens is we're thinking too much. So I always take a step back. When I take a step back, it's even in the middle of a conversation. If something's going astray, then you know that it's not right. So you take a step back, you just listen to the whole conversation, figure it out, go back in. Then you know, okay, my heart's telling me something different than what I'm thinking.
Mm-hmm.
We get so much caught up into the whole world outside of us. And you go inside first, everything's going to change in the perspective on the outside. That's how it works for me.
Yeah. And that's
So,
what you've taught me a lot as
yeah,
well. Is like that third party, like taking a step back and like truly looking at everything before you respond.
right, right. Because there's so many different outside influences from so many people. But again, you want to remember, everybody's on their own path. It doesn't matter where we're at, we're all equal. So we have to take that into perspective. You run into people that are going to stay down in the 3D world. That's great. Let them do that. They're here for a reason to do that. So if they don't want to hear what you have to say, don't push it. Just let it be and follow with your heart. There I go, back to the heart.
Back to the heart. Heart. We love the heart. The heart's the only way through.
Right.
And so I want to talk about like, because sometimes when we're moving through our awakening process, like kind of what you're mentioning, other people may not understand, or the relationships that we've cultivated may start to drift away. Like how do we navigate through that? Like with our heart.
Navigating through, you mean, in other words, like listening to other people, that sort of
Yeah,
thing?
like listening, or sometimes like arguments ensue, or people get triggered. It's like, how do we
a lot of times what happens, I mean, I've been triggered many times.
Yeah.
And your heart busts wide open because of certain things you don't realize that you've been doing or that other people are doing. But now, as we grow more further into this program, into the ascension, I call it the ascension program, but it's the leveling up. We always have to remember, if there's these arguments that are coming up, that's not on them. I mean, not on you, that's on them.
Mm-hmm.
And when it's on them, sometimes what we do is we transmute energies back. And I learned this from a dear friend that a couple of years ago, and I still work with her. Can I?
Yeah.
Erin Chandler is her name. She's awesome. She's psychic medium, does a lot of stuff. She's out of Canada. Anyway, she has taught me that we transmute energies. And so when we're getting this conflict sometimes, that transmutation basically is they're sending the energies in, we're transmuting it back. This person doesn't like what they see.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know how to work with it. So we ended up by getting their negative energies, I guess you would call it, but they're taking it out on us instead of looking inside themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So how we have to do that is to manage to realize that, okay, this isn't me, this isn't on me, this is on them. And to let them say their piece, get through everything, and then basically maybe give them a hug or maybe just say, okay, are you done? Or anything like that.
Yeah.
Just to know that it's not you, but let them completely get through that whole process.
Mm. Yeah. No, that totally makes sense. I've experienced that as well. And so for those, when we're in those situations, how does one begin to understand what energy is theirs and what energy is not theirs, and how can they protect or ground their energy?
Well, we all know where we're at.
Yeah.
We really do. And if there's something, other people are looking for a reaction, and they want that reaction that so they can make it a debate or they can make an argument. When you let them completely come through with everything and you just stand back and you just wait until they're done, if they're wanting that negative reaction, you just look at them and smile.
Yeah.
And if you do that, that's how we know. Because we all, like I say, we all know ourselves, our higher selves. We are there. This is just my perspective, of course. Everybody's going to have different feelings on what they feel and what resonates with them. They got to remember what they feel good about. That's where they need to go.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're not going to grow. You're going to end up by transmuting that back. You're going to have a big argument. And the next thing you know is relationships are getting completely bombarded with everybody else's energies as well.
Yeah. One of my biggest, I guess, growing points, especially with relationships, is being able to sit back and respond, and whether that's a response of, "Are you done? Do you feel complete now?" And not giving my energy or power into that emotion or whatever they're feeling. And it's actually helped me learn a lesson. So I kind of feel like I look at things almost like a leveling up, like you were saying. And instead of seeing it as this person like coming at me or me like triggering them, I just see it as, how can I respond in my highest form so that way I can move on from this lesson.
Right. Yeah, we want to make sure that we want to be comfortable in our skin.
Yeah.
We want to be who we are. And to be authentic, you want to make sure that, hey, if I'm talking this, I'm also needing to live this. So many times we don't live and walk the talk is basically how I put it.
Yeah.
If we walk the talk, I find myself sometimes speaking a whole lot of stuff that I'm just going, wait a minute. I have to step back and say, okay, I need to get back into that as well. Because when we do, then we know what's authentic for yourself. You stay in your heart, never going to fail you. You walk away, you start working and getting complacent, I like to say, because we all have this work to do.
Yeah.
And we need to continually keep working on ourselves. That's all part of the growing process. So.
Yeah. Well said. Well
Oh.
said. I love it. So for those who are looking to also integrate crystals in with like some of these practices of, grounding into their energy, do you have any recommendations for like some crystals that you found super helpful on like your journey, or any tips that you can give them?
Well, you got to know, just like how the vibrations are coming up on Earth for people, everything's jumping up. So a lot of times the crystals, where before they would work at certain chakra systems, and you got to remember that so many more chakra systems are opening up now, a lot of different energy levels. So basically, you go with your basic stones that are going to stay the same no matter what. And that's just how it works, is, your black tourmalines to keep yourself grounded, or black stones. Rose quartz always is going to be working with the heart. You've got your clear quartz, it's always going to work up above in the crown and in the soul star, which is 6 inches above the crown. Then you also want to think amethyst. Amethyst always works all the way around the entire system, outside and inside. Those 4 stones, or 4 basic stones, are usually the ones to start with. I always say, whatever you're called to, that's what you want to work with. They will let you know whether you need to work on your sacral and solar plexus. You want to always stay grounded. To stay grounded, sometimes we get way up here and we don't realize it. Very, very high energy. A lot of people get standoffish about that. And you got to remember to pull it back in. The only way to pull it back in, bring in some darker stones, some of your black tourmaline, some of like shungite. You can bring in obsidian, black obsidian, anything like that, to get yourself re-grounded with Mother Earth. Once you get yourself grounded, when you're doing your meditation, that's the main thing about crystals. Everybody can use crystals and how they're supposed to, if they feel the energy, if they're ready for it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter when, how, where. You can just place them on your body, or just sit there with them on your meditations, whatever you're called to.
Yeah.
So you got to listen to your heart. I'm going to keep going that way, because that's how I live, is you live with your heart. You stay in your heart. So you do that, you're never going to go wrong. You start thinking about it, those stones are going to jump away. They're not going to listen to you because you're not listening to them. Every day I work with different stones. Just depends depends on where you need to work.
Yeah.
And sometimes you might need that stone for a whole week, or 2 weeks, or 3 weeks, whatever it takes. It doesn't matter. There is no timeline. Time is just linear anyway. So.
Yeah. I find that to be really helpful when tuning into like what crystals are calling to me, is by tuning into my heart and like feeling which crystals I'm being drawn to right now. So in my pockets, I've actually been working with a lot of lapis and labradorite recently,
which is basically for your journeying stones, working through your third eye. But again, they might say, hey, I want to come down here and work with Mother Earth. So that's just helping you get grounded while you're working through them down there. Same kind of thing.
Yeah, I've definitely been feeling drawn more towards like the sacral chakra with the labradorite, at least. So that's been interesting.
Yeah, that's this is a lot of times I just go with what I'm told too. I never know what I'm going to be saying a lot of times, and it just, whatever comes out, it's supposed to mean. Because I look at it this way, it's not meant for me. Some of it may be yes, but most of it's meant for the person that I'm talking with. Good, bad, or ugly, it doesn't matter to me. It's supposed to be put out there so they can take it as it is and just take what resonates with you.
Yeah.
So like with the labradorite, working with the sacral chakra, that's basically working in that feminine energy, but you're also working. Labradorite is a protector while you're doing your third eye work or wherever. So basically you're protecting, going through the third eye with that feminine energy, but at the same token, bringing everything down into that sacral. So you're getting an intertwining mix of both the stone and the chakra in that area.
Yeah.
As a protector, but labradorite works as a journeying stone too. So wherever you're planning on journeying, it's also a magic stone. There's so many different things that can go on with every single stone that's out there.
So. And it's all about what resonates for you in that moment.
Exactly.
So I guess to wrap up, you were to give the listeners just one final piece of advice as to how they can connect back to themselves and, move through their heart, what would it be?
Well, the biggest thing is, if it pertains with crystals, just get yourself some rose quartz. Sit there. Go out and get yourself grounded. Walk outside. Get your feet into the dirt. Get it into the grass. Whatever it is. Go out and walk in the snow. It doesn't matter. Whatever. Go sit in a creek or anything. Just get yourself grounded. Grab a stone that calls you. Hold it to your heart. See what's going on with you. There's going to be times that you're not going to understand, and that's a big thing when you're picking stuff up from other people. It's carrying their energies. That's why it's always a good thing to cleanse all your stones. Cleanse yourself. There's so many different ways to do everything, to just work inside yourself.
What ways can they begin to cleanse themselves or their crystals?
Well, the big way, with cleansing crystals and clearing everything, I like to use Palo Santo, which is a Peru. Yeah, it's a South American wood, but you can also use a sage. So sage basically is North American, Palo Santo South American. They still all work in the same sense. A real good way to recharge and to cleanse, I always like, and this is something that I learned from another crystal dealer in Shasta, actually, is because he picks his stones up and he does it all through his heart, through that loving energy. It's to hold the crystals to your heart. The best thing to do with that, and this is also just for yourself, give yourself a big hug. Look at yourself in the mirror. Blow a kiss at yourself. That's personal love. That's taking care of you. Give yourself that 15, 20 minutes a day. Every single day, you've got to have that personal love for you. And if there's something you don't like, you can change that. You can make it different. But hold the stones to your heart. Ask to release all energies that are not meant for your highest good. Send them out with unconditional love. You can send them out with love, but you do that, there's all kinds of different love. So you're going to get a bunch of different kinds of love back in. You send it out with unconditional love, then that way then you can call in any unconditional love energies back in. That's going to be for your highest good, for you. Doesn't mean it's going to work for somebody else. You've got to take care of you first. That's the best way to clear and the best way to cleanse. And you can recharge everything. So when it comes to charging the stones, there's lots of ways you can do that. You can use the same thing, the Apollo, the sage, put them in running water, depending on the stones. You got to be careful. There are certain stones that you don't need to and don't want to get wet. But again, think of it this way: as your creeks, your rivers, anything like that, running water, natural running water, is a grounding energy. So you're getting still the grounding with the stones as well. That's why I would say put your feet in some water or walk around in the dirt, that sort of thing. That's going to help with the grounding. So I hope that makes a little bit of sense.
No, it does. It does. The cleansing through the heart, charging and getting grounded in Mother Earth. I feel like, I mean, especially because I've also been there where the energy, you're just so excited about getting so high that you forget that it's so critical to ground yourself and to ground this into the stones that you're working with.
And you're going to run into people that aren't going to get it. And that's okay. It's wherever they're supposed to be at. We get sometimes, especially when we just begin on this journey, we get giddy. We get like, oh, we want to tell the whole world everything about what's going on. A lot of people aren't ready for that. They're more ready now than they were when I started on this, But still, if they're ready, they'll listen. They'll take in what you have to say. But then that's why we always have to remember, you have to wait for them to be ready. We get giddy and we want to tell the whole world. A lot of crazy things can happen in that part too. But more and more people are understanding and accepting everything that's going on. So that makes a difference too.
Yeah. Well, I thank you so much for just taking the time to get on here and just share what you've always shared with me, with whoever feels called to listen to this. You've helped me so much on my journey, and like, I just have so much respect, appreciation, and love for you. And
likewise.
Thank you. So just thank you so much. And to whoever is watching, just to summarize what we've talked about, is the most important thing that you can do to understand yourself is to move through your heart, to take a step back and to really understand what is your energy and what is the energy of others. And that sometimes the best thing that you can do for yourself is either walk away from a situation or give yourself a big old hug. And that rose quartz is a powerful stone to open up your heart and to begin to work with that heart chakra. And always remember to ground yourself, to love yourself, and to just tell yourself how great of a job you're doing in life, because we all deserve to hear that. So if any of these messages resonated for you, just be sure to like, share, and comment, and follow along on this beautiful journey that we are on together. And I will see you on the next podcast. Thank you, guys.
Awaken the Word is a podcast brought to you from the realms of Christ consciousness, here to set your intuition on fire and to help you create the life of your dreams by inspiring, empowering, and uplifting your soul to fearlessly chase after what it is you want to create in this world. Be sure to tune in weekly for new episodes of Awaken the Word, a journey into Christ consciousness.